bad.
No worries.
Great. So let me just open up the file.
Could you send me the link to the file, actually? That'd be great.
Yes, sir. Did you get it?
I did. Could you send the link to me on Skype? Was it a Google Doc?
Maybe it was as well.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Fine. I'll find it. Was it called Spin Selling also?
Yes, sir.
Ah, fantastic. Okay, fine. I've got it. I've got it in front of me.
Beautiful. Let me just... Here we go. Okay, so... Wonderful. Let's get started. So, look, much like we discussed about NLP, I mean, spin selling is a great tactic. Again, it's not something to be picked up every time.
Okay.
It's more about having enough ammunition so that if and when a situation arises,
Yeah.
be able to draw from that ammunition and fire accordingly. And it's more of a it's a conversation kind of booster. It's not like a trick to fool anybody or hook anybody in.
Okay.
It just really strengthens the conversation and makes things more impactful. Because ultimately, what you want to do is deliver a solution. This is not tricking anybody into buying from you.
Okay.
This is more about saying, okay, listen, I have issues, you have issues, we all have problems, and there are going to be solutions and/or services that are going to help us with those problems and issues.
Okay.
So the idea is, how do we uncover those pain points, and then cater to those pain points directly?
Okay.
So much like we would be selling to somebody, if somebody comes to us and needs needs SEO, needs lead gen, people who come to our prospects and or our clients,
Yeah.
they have issues that need to be solved. So a guy named Neil Rackman, late 80s, wrote a book, essentially came up with the concept of spin selling. It's just a nifty little acronym. It's nothing crazy. And the idea is, how do you put kind of a pain point into context, which can be really kind of not measured maybe, but kind of isolated.
Okay.
And attacked specifically.
Okay.
So the first thing, generally speaking, so SPIN stands for situation, problem, implication, and then need, payoff. I think he cheated there because need, payoff, SPIP didn't sound good. So then he said, okay, N, what do we do? What do we do here? So the need, payoff is how you end and how you essentially give back to the client or the prospect.
Okay.
You start off with a situation, which is more of a kind of like a general. General understanding of the situation of the client or the prospect, or the guy, girl you're having the conversation with.
Okay.
So this is where you understand what's going on it can be day to day, it can be kind of sales cycle wise, it can be just gathering information. So this is more factual.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
So here's where you would understand kind of things like how do you normally run the business? Or could you give me a little bit of a day-to-day? Or how are you currently catering to your clients' needs? What is it that you say when somebody comes to you and say, hey, Deepak, listen, my SEO game is weak. I need help.
Okay.
So
and this is the situation, right, in terms of the spin. Okay. Got it.
Correct. This situation. So you start off with, so say, for instance, for us, it'd be, okay, somebody comes to us, knocks on the door, and we're, okay, well, listen, what is your current SEO or lead gen strategy? Right?
Yeah.
Because we're fact finding. This is the of, what is going on. And even though we care about our clients, general business and overall, what is it that we can deliver? So what is, and always open-ended questions, the W's and how. So what, where, when, how, rather than do you have an SEO agency? Who are you? It has to be what is going on. What is kind of walk me through how it works, and what is your current is a decent one because it's questions that cannot be answered with a yes or no. It's very easy, too easy to ask questions that can just be answered with a.
And I do that a lot, I'm like, do you currently have an SEO provider, or like, do you do your lead gen internally at the moment? And it's a very yes/no responses that I ask. I need to ask, how is your SEO currently handled, or how do you generate new business at the moment? Could you walk me through it? Just so I understand, and I see what you mean. That I get a lot better qualitative data that way. Okay, fine. Sorry, I've just This makes sense. Please keep going.
Yeah, no, absolutely. A, it makes sense, and B, the biggest, because I do it all the time. Everybody does it because if you're not mindful of the conversation and where you're looking to get post conversation, it's very easy to just ask, "Hey, did you go to the cinema yesterday?" Yep.
Yeah.
Right?
I see.
What was your favorite part of the movie? There's no yes or no.
Yeah. Yeah.
Then you elaborate, and I get a feel as to what aspect of the movie you enjoyed, so that maybe I can sell you a similar movie ticket.
Yeah.
Right?
That makes sense.
A good trick here, and I think for you personally, with your style, is definitely going to help.
Okay.
Say the word how.
Yeah.
Even if you don't know what you're going to say.
How? Yeah.
Yeah. Because if you start with how, you're going to have to make up something, and it's going to have to be relevant.
Yeah, that's true. So how does your new business work at the moment? Or
exactly.
How do you currently run your SEO?
Exactly.
And if I say who, that changes it potentially to a yes or no. Who runs your SEO? We do. Who's in charge of your lead gen? We are. Frank is. How do you currently generate? Well, how do you currently generate leads could also be email, and that would be like kind of shut down. But it'd be like, yeah.
That's true. That's true. But you're getting email as a response, not a yes or no. So it's even that is more powerful. If you can also play around with what, because you can start similarly. You can say, what is it that you're currently doing in terms of SEO?
What and who? No, what and how? What and how? What and how? Yeah, no, that's really powerful. If I just focus on saying those two words on my calls later today, then I'll see where I get with it. Okay, what?
For sure, for sure.
So, now, did you say what and how?
It's the W's essentially, and then how. So what, where, when.
Okay.
Anything that will essentially prompt a. You have to think of it as not a conversation stopper.
Yeah.
So again, if I tell you, so hey, did you go out yesterday?
Yeah.
Yes. You need to want to tell me where you went and what you did.
Yeah, yeah.
Otherwise, you can just say yes, no.
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
I see what you mean. It makes
so
sense.
what did you end up doing yesterday? You can't say yes to me.
Yeah.
So automatically, I'll find out something about the business.
Yeah.
That's why how, what. Who is also good because you find out a name and then maybe you elaborate more. So if you, generally speaking, I find that if you start off with an H, like a how, and say, so how, and then, be quick on your feet, of course, and then the questions you need to ask.
Yeah.
But that puts you in it kind of forces you to ask a smart question.
Yeah.
Just say the word how. And then you're not going to just sit there waiting after how. You're going to have to make up something.
Yeah. How does it work for you guys at the moment then for SEO?
Exactly. Anything to that effect.
Yeah.
Rather than, are you working with an SEO agency?
Let me just focus on the how then. If I could just cement like using that every time into my pitch, I think that I'll end up just asking a lot more open-ended questions, because at the moment it's definitely a bit more closed. Okay, cool. No, that's really good. That makes sense. Makes a lot of sense.
Fantastic. Okay, so cool. And then similarly, it's, I've written here, how long have you been following the strategy? Somebody can elaborate and say, oh, okay, then. So if I ask you a factual question, an open-ended factual question, as in, okay, so what is your current SEO strategy? Well, we do everything in-house, and we found that, we plateaued because there's only so much we can do internally.
Yeah.
So now we feel, okay, so how long would you say you've been in a position where maybe you started plateauing, maybe even going down in the ranks a little bit? So they say, oh yeah, the past 3 months. Ah, okay, I see. So automatically, the prospect realizes that for the past 3 months, sorry if I'm boring you, man.
No, no, you know what? It's
I'll joke.
I had a 3 a.m. finish, and
But
sorry, go ahead.
I know I'm not boring. Don't worry. I'm joking. You know, the idea is to start planting into the prospect's head, right, or your partner's head, or whoever is on the other end of the phone or the conversation. That listen, there's an issue here.
Dude, 1 second. Could you, Ariana, could you pass me the Coke Zero caffeine? It's at the bottom. It's on the bottom shelf. There's a Coke Zero. Sorry, Eon. I want to solve this issue. Thank you so much.
Can I leave the box?
Say again.
Where can I?
In there. Yeah. Brilliant. Thank you. And then the alcohol. Actually, leave it. Sorry, it's my cleaner. My cleaner, dude. She's yeah.
Even Deepak needs a boost.
Yeah. Brilliant. Okay, sorry. Please continue. So
No worries, man.
the how thing's really it's excellent. I'm going to use that. Period. That's really good.
Yeah, and it's a good rule of thumb anyway. It doesn't have to be, you know, with spin selling in mind. This is just a conversation starter.
Yeah.
So that's the one thing. Then the other thing is, much like we discussed with NLP, the idea is if I give you a solution, or if I tell you, hey D, this is the case,
Yeah.
then depending on how much you trust me, you like me, you respect my opinion, you could say, yeah, you know what, that sounds like it may be the case.
Okay.
But you don't know me. We've never spoken before, probably. You requested more information, and we're on the phone together, right?
Yeah.
So me telling you this is the way forward, you can say, do you know what? Based on this guy's information, knowledge, maybe tenacity, maybe confidence, maybe I should follow this guy,
Yeah.
right? And maybe I'll buy from him, maybe I won't. But if you kind of reach the stage where the prospect suggests a solution or identifies a problem with you, or even on their own, based on something that you've said or asked, it's way more powerful. Because if you tell me, okay,
how do you do that? And maybe this is my bias. Maybe I'm creating an objection that isn't there, and maybe this is a difficulty that salespeople have. I would love for a prospect to outline their own solutions, but I feel like they must know that I'm doing this as part of a sales process. Because when I often sometimes get pitched by guys who are like, oh, so how's your SEO going? It's going okay. Okay, so how long is okay? How long has it been a problem for you? And then I'm like, dude, I understand you're trying to get me to outline my fucking problems. Just tell me what your pitch is. And I worry that that's something that I'm creating. Like, I struggle with that a little bit, and it prevents me from saying, oh, so how long has this been a problem for you for? But is that my unease that isn't really out there? Or I just kind of wanted you to comment on that, because that's something that sometimes prevents me from trying to ask them in depth about their problems.
look, that makes total sense, and I am very similar in that respect. I like it when people are candid. I like knowing what we're talking about. So I would definitely pick up on something like that. And my suggestion is always be open about this stuff. Like, there's no question as to whether or not I want to sell to you, or there shouldn't be. But I also genuinely want to understand what the problem is, because legitimately, if I cannot add value, then I don't know if I'm a good enough fit. If I am, however, you should give me your money, because I'm going to help out. So if by asking the right questions, I can identify what the issue is, and then we can together either agree or disagree on whether or not I can help, then the sale, sure, it's a sale because there's a transaction and you're going to pay me money for what I'm going to deliver. But it's not like how do I take money from this guy?
This is brilliant. It's just about the candidness. I mean, this refers back to what I was talking about on the sales calls yesterday when I was saying to you, so this is a sales call, and it disarmed people from, but the honesty is what you're talking about. In the instance they're saying, you know, why are you asking me this, Deepak? I'll be like, hey, yeah, it's like, of course, okay. So in that instance, then, let's say I'm pitching you, and I say, oh, Eon, so you said the rankings have been an issue. How long has it been going on for? And then,
so I answer. So on the prospect, well, I don't know. I think we didn't want to admit it to ourselves, but it's been an issue for a while now. I'd say that we started plateauing. We realized the business was running, so we were okay with it.
Yeah.
But I'd say for the past maybe even half a year, it's been an actual problem.
Okay. And when you say problem, what has it done to your business?
Okay, fantastic. Now you're actually moving along with the spin questions.
Well, what I'm worried about, the reason I'm asking you that is because I would think that, well, yeah, clearly, but maybe that's the cynic in me when I'm sold to that. I'm like, well, clearly it's a fucking problem, dude. That's why I'm calling you, and it's a problem that I could spend money. But is that because that's just one kind of scenario, isn't it? For the most part, people aren't going to behave in that way, I imagine.
Well, look, I'm a firm believer in that a pitch has to make sense for you personally, and it's not something. Again, a good sales pitch is not something that tricks people. This is not the case of. Again, we're not looking to take us for example. I think we're a prime example. We are not looking for a quick buck. We tell everybody, look, this is going to take 6 months at least.
Yeah.
This is not a case of let's get as much money as we can today and then forget about tomorrow. If I work with you, I want to have a kick-ass relationship with you throughout the whole duration of our business relationship.
Yeah.
So this is not a case of, oh, I tricked this guy, he paid me. Now what? So he cancels after a month. You know, so I feel that as long as that gets transmitted, and you're right, you're cynical, I'm super cynical. So I should, for the most part, assume that the other person is at least as cynical as I am. So I'm not going to be like, oh yeah, well, it's not like, of course it's a case by case, and then you also have to mirror the DM and understand where they're coming from.
Yeah.
Because there are people who are genuinely lost and they need help, and they say, listen, I'm screwed, man. I don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
You're not going to go in with no, you're going to say, well, listen, I think we can help. This is what we've done for similar people.
Yeah.
Of course it's going to cost money. Of course I'm selling to you. You seem like the nicest person in the world, but I also have other things to do. I'm not a charity. I didn't call you just to say hello. I want to further our business. I want to get more clients because I want you to be super happy with us, refer us to other people, and then us gently and gradually take over the world. In a good way, of course. So that has to be very, very clear. And if anybody says, oh, this is a sales call, no, I was just calling to see how you were. Of course it's a sales call. But this is not, I'm not looking to trick you. This is not a case of, you know what? I'm gonna use all my sales tactics. You're screwed now.
Yeah.
You might as well give me your credit card. Not at all. This is a case of, and I find I'm the same. For the most part, unless you have let's call it like an intelligent business conversation with somebody.
Yeah.
You a lot of times don't, especially when you're CEO or founder, right? You're captain of the ship. It's not the easiest thing to say. Do you know what? We're doing shit, man. You're not going to jump out with, this is my problem. But if you start trusting somebody, if somebody's open enough to say, you know what, you came to us at the end of the day, or we came to you because we've identified you as, or your niche, or your market, your vertical, your geography, whatever it is, it's a good fit for me, right? So in my view, I'm going to make money from you, but also I'm going to keep you happy enough to continue making money from you. And in an ideal case or best case scenario, you are going to give me more clients.
Yeah.
So this is not a case. I'm not looking to trick you, because 3 months down the line, then you're going to tell your friend, never work with these people. This guy's an asshole. He tricked me into giving him his money, my money. So I'm not, here's a bad review.
Yeah.
So we lose. So tricking somebody into giving money is always going to be a problem, right?
Yeah.
So it's never that. And if you feel that you're being too salesy, take a step back and just be honest and say, listen, ultimately, I feel, if this is true, of course, because if it's a bad fit and you cannot deliver, if somebody has the best SEO game in the world, you're not going to say, I'm going to better your SEO game, right?
Yeah.
So they're not a good fit.
Yeah.
Right? But with your experience, if somebody's on page 4, 5, 2, and there's something that we can do, and give it 3, 4, 5, 6 months down the line, better their ranking, then of course you want to take their money. It's only logical.
Perfect. This makes sense. This makes a lot of sense, dude. Let's continue with the whole spin thing. This is brilliant. I think that I will try this shit today. So fine.
Look, so situation is simple enough. You still keep it open-ended because you want to have a conversation with somebody and you don't want yes or no answers.
Yeah.
So that's done. The P is where you actually identify an issue.
Okay.
Everybody has problems. Again, it's the higher up the ladder you go, the harder it is to kind of get the response of, yeah, you know what, I'm shit at this and this and this. Yeah. But a lot of people who are confident enough and doing well overall, will say, you know what, this is a weak point. And if your and/or service essentially addresses that weak point, then this is a potential sale that should be made
Yeah.
from both the buyer and seller's perspective.
Yeah.
So after okay, so how long have you, or what SEO strategy are you employing currently? So I'm doing this and I'm doing that, I'm doing that. So okay, so now you know what the situation is, the factual side of things. It's
Oh
very
wow.
easy.
So is it like okay, great. So how long? So it's like how would you describe your SEO process at the moment? They'd be like, oh, okay, so we've got Frank. He does this and he's doing real well. Okay, great. When you say real well, what does that actually mean? It'd be good to understand what you mean by that. You're like, oh well, our rankings are improving. Okay, brilliant. Does that mean when you say improving, how would you describe the kind of growth? Is it like what? How what? And then they'll say, okay, from page 3 to page 1, and I'll say, okay, amazing. Is there anything else that you feel? No, see, if they say, okay, I mean, that's just in the case that someone's going to just say everything's perfect, everything's perfect. That's not going to be the typical scenario if someone genuinely wants help. But they will say, oh, well, we're struggling a bit to get from page 2 to page 1, but generally it's been pretty good. So then you say, okay, when you say struggling, could you walk me through that? What do you mean by struggle? And they'll be like, oh, okay, well, the tactics that we were using for the last 2 months, they don't seem to be working anymore. And I'll be like, oh, okay, so is that if at all become a problem for your business? That's it, creating a yes/no answer, isn't it? No, so I'd say, what impact is that having on your business?
Yes, exactly, and that is the implication.
Yeah.
So essentially, what you want to do is exactly what you're talking about there. So you take a fact, you dig in a little bit deeper and say, first of all, Frank's coming to you for whatever reason. He's not super happy with what's going on SEO wise. So we have a little bit of an advantage there. So you say, okay, look, so what have you been doing? We've been doing this, and it's not, maybe they volunteer that this is why I'm here talking to you, because it's not working that well.
Yeah.
If they don't volunteer that information, which is more common in a cold relationship, so you're calling somebody to find out, right?
Yeah.
You have identified, however, that this is a market that you could legitimately work on,
Yeah.
right? And this is a Frank's business can be improved based on what you can deliver,
Yeah.
right? So you do have an offering there.
Yeah.
So when somebody says this is what, so what are you currently doing? We are doing A, B, and C. Okay, then the problem questions are again open-ended questions with, okay, so like you said, how well is this going for you, right?
Yeah.
Now that's okay. So listen, Frank, you came to me here. I'm going to assume that something can be improved upon, right? Now, if you had to take something that for you personally, forget about SEO, forget about the business, something that's going to make your life a little bit easier, what would it be? Maybe it's I don't like double checking this. Maybe it's you know what, the SEO team we don't have an SEO team.
Ask that question again. Sorry.
So if you can ask it in. Okay, so you have the strategy. Now, we're talking here for a reason, right? And we're addressing your SEO issue. So what do you feel could be done to make your job, your life a little bit easier, SEO-wise?
I'm thinking about how this applies to both cold as well as warm, because in a warm situation, you'd be like, we're here, of course, because there's something that's not quite right, shall we say, with what's happening with your SEO. What would you specifically say is the number one issue with your SEO right now, with the way it's working, that you're not happy with? And then
Right. You mean cold or warm?
Warm. And
Yeah.
then they'll say it. They'll be like backlinks or our reporting or our blah blah. They'll say whatever the fuck they say. In a cold relationship, let's assume they're not going to fucking volunteer. But what I imagine can happen is that I'm going to say, Eon, that since we're still here a couple of minutes into the call, then there may be something that you can see as being improved, because I guess we just wouldn't still be talking, right? What is that one thing that's kind of hovering in your head? And that would be is that how I would then switch it? Because I'm thinking that if people are still sticking around after elevator pitch, they're like, okay, what's your pitch? Or you say your pitch, then there is some room in their mind to be like, maybe. and I need to identify what's causing the maybe, right? And maybe they don't even know, I guess, because they're just like, oh, well, um, am I going on the right lines, or is that not quite right? Because I'm just wondering if that.
It's absolutely right, man. That's exactly it. And this is where candor comes into play. Yes, it's not necessarily the case. If I'm being sold to and I'm on the back foot, I'm like, well, what does this guy want now? He needs to know that, yeah, I want to sell you something. But yeah, if we're still on the phone, that means that there's something there, right? So you either just take that lead and just go with it, or you can say something along the lines of, listen, Frank, bottom line, no matter how good you're doing, there's always room for improvement. Now, my question isn't whether or not you can be better at SEO, because hey, even we could be better at SEO for certain keywords. Everybody can be improved.
Yeah.
Everybody can improve. The question here isn't whether or not you can, is which aspect of your SEO game would you realistically need to improve right now, or what would you like to improve on, or which area do you feel you're not as strong in? Maybe that's an even a softer approach, because if you say, what do you need to improve, or you're not going to tell the dude or the girl, hey, what are you shit at, or
Yeah.
you're going to say, well, listen, I mean,
What do
because
you feel
SEO
you
is such
guys
a,
could be stronger at? Yeah.
yeah, SEO is such a general, kind of broadly. Of course, everybody wants to outrank their competition. Now, my question to you is, from your experience and with your knowledge, what essentially it needs to happen here? What would you like to do? Let's say we have a magic wand, we wave it around. What do we ask for here?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. What do you ask for here? What do you ask for here? If we, so okay, so it'd be something like, look, Ian, I'll be candid. You no, so something like let's be okay. So Ian, let's be candid here. We're still, of course, on the call because I think that there might be something there, right? As you said, you're currently happy with your SEO that's already happening internally. So if I could wave a magic wand in your ideal world, what is the one thing, or maybe even the several things that could be tweaked to get you an even better result?
Fantastic.
Because I mean that's has to be why we're still here and talking, right? What is that one thing? And then they might just still try and shut me down, but it's fine. I think that's the candid question. Um, and then I wanted to ask, so what's the one thing that could be tweaked? The other problem that I have, sorry, I'm going a bit off topic at the moment, but I'm thinking about my
No, no.
problems. I'm a bad listener on calls. I have a style that's interruptive, as you've probably heard from my calls, which is why I stuck to this 15-minute calls. And it won't work for everybody. I need to understand what to do about that, because that's my style, and I get frustrated when I think people start just talking about irrelevant bullshit, and I want to very focus upon, I don't know, they call it straight line selling or whatever the fuck Jordan Belfort called, but I'm very much about, let's stick to this path. But I think that undoes me sometimes, because the sale that you made just the other day with Andrew, Andrew spoke of, I think it would be more fun working with you guys. And I've not had that before well, I've had energetic, I've had lively, I've had rapid response, but I've not had the word fun. And I think that there's two things there. Number one, that I want to take from you. Number one, how to deal with the fact that I interrupt people, but at the same time, I don't want to have a longer call. And then number two, I mean, the humor thing is very personal, right? I think that's a stylistic thing. I think that'd be difficult for me to just, be funnier. It's someone's style. But the interruptive thing, maybe that's something, that I could work with. Do you want me to move? Are you going to hoover in here now? Yeah, no, don't worry. I'm going to move. Give me a sec. Eon, I need to change place. I've been ordered out of the living room.
No, it's more interesting this way.
Give me a sec, dude. She's got Daniela bought like a fucking 250 pound Hoover or some shit, dude. I'm like, what the fuck? If you're wondering where my money gets spent, sorry for being in your way. Let me, you know what? Let me just go sit in the hallway. Fuck it, I'll sit on the stairs. It's fine. Shit. All right. Fuck it. So just sit here. All right, dude. Sorry. Please continue.
Yeah, no, look, I think that's a great point, and it's not an issue, but because your style, again, you know exactly where the call needs to go, and you're a no bullshit kind of guy. So for you, it's like, yeah, kind of not chomping at the bit, but you know where you want to go with it. The problem with knowing kind of 100% what you're going to say, it's not just that you kind of run the risk of not listening. It's which sometimes is bad, but in a lot of cases, it doesn't matter as much as having the prospect feel that they're not being listened to. So if you may miss an important bit of information, but you may make up for it. That's not the end of the world. It's way worse for me to feel like, you know what, this guy isn't really listening, because that would be like, well, if I have to repeat myself, or if you get in a case of, like I said earlier, that's not good.
Yeah.
The best trick to avoid situations like that is to consciously force yourself to wait for a second after somebody finishes speaking. Even if you do not change anything as to what you're going to say, even if it's exactly the same sentence with the same tone and the same whatever, it doesn't matter. But if you consciously just like close your eyes and wait and think that, okay, the person's because let's say, ask me a question, whatever.
Okay. Ian, how is your SEO strategy working for you right now?
Yeah, it's working fantastically. Oh, sorry, it was meant to be the other way around. So you are
The client, the
you're the client.
prospect.
You're giving like an objection.
Ah,
Yeah,
okay. Yeah, no, Ian, I think that the challenge that I've had with agencies in the past is that there's been a lot of over-promising, I guess, and it's something I'm wary of right now as well, still.
yeah, absolutely. So it sounds then like, oh yeah, I heard other agencies. I want to get to it, right?
Okay, yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So
yeah.
ask me the same question again.
Yeah, so Ian, one of the things that I'm a bit wary of is that we've had bad experiences with agencies historically, so that's kind of hanging in my head if I'm being honest.
Yeah, look, I mean, of course you have, and it's annoying for people like me and my team here, because this is sometimes things we need to fight against.
Hmm.
It's like saying that, I don't know, you order a bad slice of pizza, you get sick, and then all the other pizza restaurants have to suffer for it. So that's an example of, I waited for a second, right?
What happens in the instance? Because that I think I can execute. I can wait a second to make sure they
For
finish. I
sure.
go be like, I can, So the idea is that Ian, yeah, it sucks that happened. If I'm being honest, and yeah, it definitely makes our lives more difficult because I don't want you, and you wouldn't have that experience with us. But I can totally understand why it's a worry that you have coming into this discussion. So that's that like some version of that, like whatever the fuck I say. What if I am Mr. Prospect now, and I'll say, well, hey Eon, yeah, no, so I wasn't really that happy with our last agency. We were working with them for about 9 months, and there was their project manager Martha, and I remember us going to him, and they start fucking blathering, dude. That's the part that I get unstuck with, because I don't know if I should feel like, should I cut in? Because so I'm still continuing. Yeah, no. So Martha, we went with her for a meeting once, and I think that one of the problems that I have when I meet a project manager for the first time is, like, I think the preparation is like it's a big deal, and I felt like that Martha was, maybe she was an intern, and but they go on, and I'm like, because this is something that came up with Joe, because he said he came from the corporate sales world where you just listen and you wait. And I'm a very much interruptive kind of salesman. I'll be like, I don't know, I'd cut in because I'd be like, right, the conversation's going this way. So what happens in those scenarios?
Look, that is a great question, and it does come up from time to time. I think it's a case by case. So a
Okay.
few things. First of all, it depends on how much time you actually have.
Yeah.
It depends on how early in the call that happens, because if that starts happening super early, then it's a problem.
Okay. Okay.
If you've already started building rapport, established your authority, and shown the prospect that, listen, this is a conversation worth investing time in and potentially even money, and then they go into how they're disappointed with Martha, I would let them speak for an hour if I had the time. Because what happens then is the prospect is connecting with you and they're venting, and then you stop being a salesperson and you start being a consultant. And then you focus on Martha, because it may very well be the difference of our Martha
Yeah.
to the competitor's Martha that makes the sale.
Yeah.
And not how many backlinks we create, not how many social profiles we create, not how many ranking points we score for them. It's all about, you know what, dealing with that Martha was a pain in the ass, and I could tell from the get-go. And if in your mind, because you're a very fast-paced kind of guy, I wouldn't be surprised if the kind of the rambling part of the pitch took a couple of minutes, but in your mind it's like 2 hours.
Yeah, that's exactly
Now,
what happens.
the minority of cases, somebody will ramble on. Like I spoke to some guy who was, a lovely fellow, and he just went on and on and on and on from very, very early on. He was semi-retired, and he wanted to do this project, and he just kept going on and on and on. It wasn't going to serve either of us. I mean, maybe it was serving him because he was talking to somebody. But in those cases, it's you just find like either a little pause or a not somebody's going to have to, they're going to have to come up for air at some point.
Yeah.
So if he's like, oh, and Martha this, and it's way too early in the pitch, I said, oh, do you know what? First of all, I'm really sorry about, the experience you had. Well, let's focus on that not happening again. My idea is...
And then move the conversation along. That's it, dude. So I've got to tactically pick points where they take a breath, they pause. At the moment, I sometimes will not wait for them, and I'll just butt in and be like, oh, yeah, and then they'll kind of stop, and then I'll continue. And I think that, of course, the fact that I'm personable covers over it, but it's still a problem. No one likes being fucking interrupted mid-conversation. No one does. And all right, fine, that makes sense.
And sorry, a quick point there. If the story about Martha goes on, not too long, but there's enough of a pain point there, I feel that a lot of sales strategies and a lot of sales gurus will say, oh, you do this and you do that. That's all bullshit. The idea is you have to be as fluid as possible, and you have to be able to just switch from strategy to strategy, from candor to it's there's no such thing as this is what you have to do to sell.
Yeah.
If this guy starts saying that, you know what, Martha this, Martha that, or it's the the project manager I worked with last time. I don't know if she was an intern or what the case was. So what is it that actually happened?
Yeah.
Then they go into another 5-minute spiel and say, okay, well, what if I could guarantee you that wouldn't happen with us? How would that make you feel? Because oftentimes even, people buy because you've solved a specific problem. It's not like, oh, my business's SEO isn't great. Well, that's why we're speaking. But then why are they buying from you?
Yeah.
It's because they've identified something. And sometimes it's in the details, sometimes it's in the silences, the spaces between, reading between the lines, and sometimes it's as clear as day. But usually, it's picking up on a specific thing that they can relate to.
That makes so much sense, dude. It makes a ton of sense. We've covered like some really good stuff on this call. So the first thing that I took from it was the asking, like, how is something going? Because I can only hold a couple of things in my head. How is just all I'm going to stick to for the moment. Just using the word how in calls, that's the first thing. The second thing is when I am dealing with the warm person, I can ask them, what's the number one issue in your mind that's not working with your current SEO strategy? With the cold call guy, I can say, look, we're still here, which tells me that there might be something that you think could be tweaked potentially with your current SEO strategy. If I can wave a magic wand and fix that problem, what would that problem look like? That's
perfect.
That would be that one.
And a question that I don't think a lot of people ask is, and it's a little bit cheesy, and look, nothing works with everybody, right? So you have to also go with your gut.
Yeah.
You're not going to get it 100% of the time, right? But it doesn't really matter. It's okay. Listen, we're still. Let's take the cold guy. Listen, we're still on the phone, so that shows me that there's room here for a potential improvement.
Yeah.
Of course, if we could legitimately help, I'd love us to be those guys.
Yeah.
Something that's going to really help me here. So, you have a time machine, and you can go back 6 months. What would you change about your SEO strategy?
I like that. Time machine. Time machine. Close.
The time machine close, yeah.
Dude, I need to run because
Yep.
it's yeah, but dude, this is really great. The how, the when to interrupt. It's not interrupt like to come in and change the direction of the call when people pause, waiting for a second at the end so they feel that making sure they finished. The time machine close. This is brilliant, dude. This is brilliant. Um, let's finish here and let's just do another call soon, my friend. This is brilliant.
Fantastic, man. Whenever you want. Let me just say this, and I'll let you go.
Yeah,
Which is also a great thing for a pitch when
yeah.
people don't have any more time. Is forget about spin selling, forget about everything. If you reach this stage in the conversation, then next call we'll focus on the conditional close and the what if questions.
Okay.
So I've identified the time machine situation, the magic wand, what's going wrong. What if I could?
What if
And then
I could?
we'll focus on that, which is very powerful. So
Brilliant,
yeah, my
brilliant.
dude, listen, awesome. Let me know if you have any questions, and let me know when you're free for the next one.
Perfect.